Hello friends, it's Monica, also known as Sleep Doctor 60, and today is Thursday, September 14th, 2017. I'm coming to you not on my regular day because it's my 6 month surgeryversary. You know what I'm talking about. Also, this week, the 11th, was my 1 year anniversary being on YouTube, so I started my first YouTube video a year ago a year ago on Monday, and if you go back and look at that, it'll be an interesting thing to watch. So, really quick, usually my weigh-in is on Tuesday, and I put on the below, I put all my stats, and you can see the whole week to week. And actually, when I weighed in on Tuesday, I had gone up 0.2 pound, which is about 3 something ounces. And this is the second time that I've had a weight gain in the whole 6 months. But then today I was at 147.6, so there was some kind of a loss. I don't know how many ounces. I don't keep track, but anyway, so I had VSG with Dr. Daniel Leslie at University of Minnesota Twin Cities Fairview Hospital on March 14th, 2017. The day of my surgery, I weighed in at 198. I started at the university. As all of you know, I started somewhere else and ended up at the university. But when I started the process, which was over 2 years ago, June of 2015, I was 240 pounds. But it wasn't my highest weight ever. Then I started with the university on September 20. Oh, actually, yeah, September something, October, November. I don't remember. I think it was maybe November at the university. Yes, at the university I started in November, and I was 224 when I started the actual process. So since surgery, lost 50 pounds. Since going to university, over 76 pounds. And since June of 2015, 92 pounds. So how are things going? Well, things are going okay. Things are going well health-wise. No medication at all. Zero, nada. No medication for the GERD that I had. No medication for my high blood pressure. I was also on a CPAP machine, which I'm no longer using. And I was pre-diabetic, which was kind of an issue and a concern. So, my blood pressure, both numbers are 2 digits, which is kind of interesting. I know that some of you are interested in taking measurements. I did take measurements. I used an app, and it said that I lost 40 inches, but that's hard to believe that in 6 months I lost 40 inches. And to be perfectly honest, the way that it does your inches is that it adds all of it, and then it subtracts. So I didn't go back and check each one because at the time I didn't pay that much attention, and I need to do that. I know that I went from a 14W to a size 4, but I'm not sure exactly that's correct. There are also some measurements that I thought were important, like my head, because I have a huge head. That doesn't go into that total, that inches that I lost other places that it's not, that the app doesn't account for, but that I did. So anyway, let's see. My main concern continues to be regain. That's always in back of my mind because I've been this weight before. Actually, I've been like maybe 10 pounds thinner than I am now back in 2003. when I turned 50, I went on Up-to-Fast. I lost a massive amount of weight. I had plastic surgery and had a tummy tuck and breast lift, and I was a size 4. And then kind of within 6 months, I had gained it all back. Maybe not all back, but I gained a big, percentage of it back. And it was devastating. And it was devastating, the shame, the feeling of worthlessness, and of being beaten down once again by my relationship with food. Was just overwhelming. And, of course, that, 5 years later, that sort of drove me to, or led me to going to treatment for my binge eating, and for how I felt about food and my relationship with food. And when I went to the treatment, I remember my treatment weight was at, I think, at 211. So I hadn't gained all of it back, but I was at 211. And then in treatment, I actually gained weight, because one of the things is that I just completely stopped. I stopped dieting. I just stopped that craziness. And so, when I went back to see my doctor, over a year and a half ago, and said, I really need to lose weight because I'm physically I'm not doing well. That was the first time that I had really attempted to say, okay, I'm going to go on a diet. And this is how this whole thing came up, that I went to look at getting medication, and the bariatric team suggested that I would be a good candidate for weight loss surgery. Yes, I had looked into it before and was not a candidate for many reasons. Actually, not many reasons. My BMI wasn't high enough, and I didn't have, another time it was because I didn't have a long enough history of my weight, because when I would see my doctor, I would decline to be weighed in, so I didn't, and I think you have to have like 2 years worth of weight history of being obese, and I was going to the doctor, once a year, but not getting weighed in. So anyway, it was just meant to be, as my mom likes to say. It was just, this is how it needed to be. So what's the concern about? I'm in the process still of getting rid of clothes. I decided maybe a week ago that I would, any clothes that are bigger than an 8, I would get rid of. And friends in the community have gotten some of my clothes. Charities have gotten clothes. Friends in my personal life have gotten clothes. And it's kind of scary. It's scary, to just say, well, I'm going to hang on to things that are size 8 and under, and then what? What if from a 4 I go to an 8? So all of it has been quite scary. Now, one of the things that I've done is that I continue to see a therapist, and I continue to discuss, my relationship with food. And although I haven't had any issues with overeating, I still can't quite figure out, when I'm full, I get the hiccups, and if there are a couple of bites left, I still eat them, because I don't know, because of a crazy assumption, which is interesting, because I remember being in treatment and saying, to my core group, why is it that we all have such an issue with, throwing food out, but we don't have an issue with throwing food in, with consuming it. So that was my own quote. And and it's not about throwing it out. I don't know what it is. It's not about, I have no issues wasting food, never have. But it's not about that. Like, I won't necessarily put things in the fridge. If it's a little bit, I just throw it out, which, that's an interesting topic of conversation with my sweet husband of 6 months, who, anything left over, he wants to put it in the fridge and save it. And of course, he won't eat it. And then, it becomes penicillin in the fridge, but he won't throw it out. So anyway, I continue to discuss this, and just one of the things that I talked about today, as a matter of fact, today, Thursdays, is when I see my therapist, and I talked to her today about being the 6-month anniversary, and she said, I wrote down sort of like our plan of attack. She said, first of all, we can cope, if that becomes again, because my thinking is that somehow this avalanche is going to come, that someday soon, this feeling of not being hungry, because that's what happened in the past. Every time I went on Optifast, I did really well on Optifast, time and time again. Not eating was great for me. It was not an issue. But once I started eating, I would start eating carbs, and I would just lose control, and it'd be this incredible thing. So what did she say? We can cope. We'll be able. We have things that we can do. The future isn't here. We can't be doing the future. And I talked to her about how respectful I tend to be about my tummy, and how I have this vision of, in the beginning, once I had surgery, of my tummy being angry, which is what my surgeon would say. Right now you have an angry tummy because of the cutting and all that stuff. And I just always visualize that. That's why when some of you, talked about things like, having popcorn in the first few weeks, I would just, cringe. The idea that, popcorn has edges, and that would hurt, my baby new, hurt tummy. So she talked about that, and when I said it's kind of like having my baby tummy, which I think the surgery doctor, whatever his name is, talks about that. And so she said, that's a great analogy, because how when you have a brand new baby, how hypervigilant you are about stuff, and how you care and you plan, and you're just you're able to do it. So this is a great way of thinking about it, that this is just part of your self-care, that the part of your self-care is to being hypervigilant of your tiny tummy. So that was really helpful for me, because as I go forward, I want to be present, and I don't want to be always sort of looking at, oh my God, when is this going to end? And unfortunately, because of our in our community, people are in different stages. So it's fortunate and unfortunate. We're all in different places, which is the great thing, because I can plan ahead, I can see what can happen, and also be aware in that we're all different. So when I see that so many in the community struggle, whether it be a year out with regain or 2 or whatever, how much time, people just fall from the face of the earth. And I like to think, they're living their life, they're doing just fine, and they stopped making videos, but you never know. The good part is that there's a warning out there, and that's, I'm a planner. I'm one of those people. I'm a good planner. I've always been a planner. I planned for old age. I planned for retirement. I planned, in my life, in my career, my profession. I was always, ahead as far as planning. So I can do this, and we'll see. So, thank you to all of you. I can't believe, I'm close to sorry, my shoe just fell off. I'm close to 400 subscribers, and I want to do a beauty sort of giveaway. So we'll talk about that soon. Thank you all. We're in this together. Thank you for the support that you all show me. And I'll see you next week. Besos. Ciao.